I will.
You want to be with me? Why don't you sit near me? Sit close to the bottom. I want to yak with you. Good. It's so good to see you. Yeah. No, this is yours.
Did you get my texts?
I did.
I'm kind of I'm
Are you alone, Mike, or are you playing with somebody else?
What's sort of be our little rhythm section here?
Well, I mean, is there another guitar?
Tonight I don't know. Got pick too. I did take a pick.
Many selections from the Ed Olson collection.
From which?
The Ed Olson.
You got the Hammond B3 stuff?
I don't know where he gets them all, but he gets them all. So nice to see you.
Thanks. Good to see you guys too. I just want you to know, it's not like I'm back yet. No, I'm not back yet. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm like,
You're taking a step tonight, right?
Yeah, the group is like it's held in a Christian setting. So like sometimes they, it's prayer. I mean, and then I want to feel this again.
Yeah. No, I know you're taking a step. It was a big step, I think, being here tonight, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm usually. Some guitar. This is a beauty. This is a beauty. This guitar.
Yeah.
So is this in order? Are we good here with the? But where's the music? Is it in here? Bob, is it? Do I?
Yeah. So just. Yeah, that's the order. So Shalom Aleichem, I'll call out chords for you if you need them.
Yeah, and just Baruch. Yeah, it's pretty much.
Yeah, it's the same old service.
It's in order. You didn't tell me if it's like a.
The Bichochma. That's maybe the one thing. You can probably sit out on Bichochma.
This one. This one?
Yeah. That's because that's kind of a spare. No, and actually, it's in E minor now.
Oh.
So.
Okay, just feel free to yell out to Shema. Why is this full? This is. Oh,
no, Michamo capo too. Right? You have capo?
I don't know how to do that. It's in B minor though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds great tonight.
As if in A minor, but capo.
I have to not wait so long for the second verse. I usually follow her.
So what should I do for this one?
It should be 4 beats.
It's a B minor?
Yeah, so it's like House of the Rising Sun. That's how I always think of it.
Changes things up every now and then.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say.
No.
But it's not those keys.
Right, so it's B. That's actually a D chord, right? Da 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 minor B minor D to E to F sharp.
Why is this not?
Zach is 26.
Try it.
It's the age that
I'm out of tune.
he
Can I get a low E?
no longer on my insurance. That's how yeah.
I grew another person on my leg. You gonna help me? You gonna help me? Yeah or no? You are or not?
Minor to.
Do you want to take the shaker? Yeah, here. You want to go back to Mama? You want to take Malachi, and you guys can go back over to be in front of me?
Actually, because this is like bum.
Yeah.
It's just sort of, but that's
So-
the intro.
So I don't need a capo. Is it?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's
Will I
only if.
will I be playing G and all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
No. Shabbat Shalom to those joining us, obviously, in this room, but also in the Zoomiverse and our YouTubeverse, all the universes. Ah,
All right, so
Welcome.
it's good to see everyone.
Yeah,
Shabbat
it is.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom again.
Before we begin, just a few logistical announcements. Hopefully everyone has grabbed a prayer book. If you haven't, you can find it on your way in. It seems that David is our usher tonight. If you need hearing assisted devices, they're right inside to the left of the office. Large print prayer books are on your left as you walk in. If you need the bathroom, they're outside to the right. All gender and handicap accessible bathrooms are through the office toward the back. If for some reason tonight you need an emergency exit, of course there's the one you walked in, but also you've got a door here and you can walk through the back to another door. And finally, the goal tonight is to make sure that each person feels that they can be a part of the service, which means that if you see someone who's lost, someone who doesn't know where they are in the prayer book or on the page, don't be shy about leaning over and pointing and showing them where. We're all together trying to make sure that we can pray simultaneously, which means that if you don't know the words or you don't know a melody, sometimes a simple yababa or a bim bim bam is enough.
You're going to get a lot of chances to do that in
Yeah.
a second.
So tonight is maybe my favorite Shabbat of the month because we have this kind of beautiful, rich musical texture of our Kab Shab band. And so
Kab
you'll
Shab
hear
band.
their beautiful playing and as they bolster us up and lift us up tonight. We're on page 24 as we begin today with Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Nami Melech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu, Boachem Leshalom, Boachem Leshalom, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Nami Melech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu, Baruchuni Leshalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi Amilachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzeitchem Leshalom, Tzeitchem Leshalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh, 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 Baruch Hu. So excited. So excited. Oh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a good way to end that.
So Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
I feel like each and every Shabbat, there's kind of a calm that comes over me. And I don't know if you feel the same way too. The idea is that the busyness of the week kind of subsides and you move into those 25 hours of joy and of tranquility. And I was thinking about the calmness that I feel throughout the course of my week and in my home. And there's no place that I feel more calm than sitting in front of my fireplace We converted a few years ago because we weren't up to code from an actual fireplace with wood and fire into one of these fireplaces that you just push the button and the gas turns on. And so we end up using it a lot during the winter. And it doesn't really change very much in the actual, heat of the room or anything like that. But just seeing the fire in front of you allows you to just relax, allows that calm to go over, allows your shoulders to come down, you to breathe a little bit deeper. And we often don't allow our Shabbat candles to do that, but that's actually the point of the Shabbat candles, to kind of gaze into those candles in the way that you would gaze into a fireplace. To look at them, let them dance in front of you and feel that calm come over you. So tonight, even though tonight is going to be anything but a calm service because we have our band, which means that we're going to have a kind of energy that doesn't exist in the room when you only have one or two instruments. I want to invite you to gaze into these flames, gaze into this fire at a certain point, and see if it might calm you a little bit as well. So we're going to light these candles tonight. And they don't really know I'm calling them up yet, but I'm really excited about our Shabbaton tomorrow. It's going to be wonderful. I'll talk about it during announcements, but it's always a highlight of the year. And one of the things that our clergy associate, Ronnie Pressman, is particularly good at is getting members of our congregation to be involved, to pitch in whatever way that they can. And so we've had a number of people who I know are in this room who chop vegetables today, who cooked salmon today, and people who are going to be helping out tomorrow as well. And so if that's you, I just want you to come on up for the honor of lighting our candles tonight. And Ronnie as well.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat.
So we're going to turn to page number 5 as we join together for Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikohamim v'shabbat kodshecha b'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat.
L'chaim. Shkoach.
We're going to turn together, page number 20, as we join in the words of L'chadudi, and we formally usher in Shabbat in prayer.
לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקרא
לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה שמור וזכור בדיבורך השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ולתפארת ולתחילה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקרים נסוכה סופה עשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה verse 5 התעוררי כי מאורי ומאורי אורי שיר דברי כמו אדוני עלי נגלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת
We rise together, verse number 9.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצורה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה לך דודי קלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה once more לך דודי לקראת בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה
We remain standing, page 28.
ברכו את אדוני And now just be my echo. Baruch Adonai.
Baruch Adonai.
Hamevorah.
Hamevorah.
Leolam.
Leolam.
Adonai, Hamevorah,
seated together as we turn our attention to the screen. B'chokhmah, in wisdom, God created the world. In wisdom, day and night bleed into one another. B'chokhmah.
Really? בחוכמה, פותח בחוכמה, פותח בחוכמה, פותח שערים. Join us. בחוכמה, פותח בחוכמה, פותח בחוכמה, פותח שערים. Before the sun I fade, I lose my strength, I lose my strength.
Together,
B'chokhmah, potayach b'chokhmah, potayach b'chokhmah, potayach she'arim. B'chokhmah, potayach b'chokhmah, potayach b'chokhmah, potayach she'arim. Vanquished by a star, I go to my knees. I lose my strength, I lose my strength. B'chokhmah, potayach b'chokhmah, potayach b'chokhmah, potayach she'arim. B'chokhmah, potayach b'chokhmah, potayach b'chokhmah, potayach she'arim. Before the song of a bird, before the breath of spring or fall, I am lost to nothing at all. B'chokhmah, potayach b'chokhmah, potayach b'chokhmah, potayach she'arim. Once more, b'chokhmah, 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 potayach she'arim. Before the miracles, all of them. Baruch atah Adonai, Amari Barabi.
page 32, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha, Amcha, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadta, Otanu limadta. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובחומנו נעשיית בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, ושיבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך,
וקשרתם
לאות על ידיך, והיו לתוצפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני
Adonai Elohechem.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there's a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Page 40.
Join us. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילתו סבל, נורא תהילתו סבל. מלכותך ראו בניך, חוקי היה לפני משה ומרים, זלי אנו ואמרו, זלי אנו ואמרו, אדוני מלוא לעולם ועד, אדוני מלוא לעולם. One more time on ya 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 la la ya 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 la 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 ya la la ya ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We're on page 42, and I'll invite you to also turn your attention to the screen.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו Sometimes I lay under the moon and I thank God I'm breathing, and I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down, not all the way down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday you'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, praying, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more war, and our children will play one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day,
One day.
one day, this day. Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'hod midaynu l'shalechayim. Baruch atah Adonai הבורא סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
In a moment, we're going to turn to page 46. And after this opening meditation, we'll move into silence through page 62. You can either pray the traditional words on the page or whatever words are in your heart. As together we rise, and you can be seated when you're finished.
Adonai שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. Once more, Adonai, שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. pray about peace enough times. So what we're going to invite those who are still praying privately to just let your prayers keep flowing and let this join yours as we lift up our voices together in the Birkat Shalom, the blessing for wholeness, for peace, page 140. No, not 140. That's the wrong page. I don't know what page we're on. What is it? Page 60? Thank you. Page 60. We're praying for peace. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lichon hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lichon hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Tov benecha livarech et Amecha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך ותשים לעולם לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
I think of how many people are ailing in some manner, shape, or form today, body or mind or soul. And instead of me chanting the beginning of this, I'd rather you take a nice deep breath, close your eyes for a second, and think of all those people and how we can raise their hearts, their bodies, their minds, their souls to be in a better place. And I'll look around the room in a few moments and ask you to name some of those names if you feel that you'd like to share with us. And then we'll join together and look at the screen. And if you'd like the words for Mishaberach, it's on page 253. So I'll look around the room for names now.
Judy Kaplan.
May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. Let us say Amen. Mishaberach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength who bless blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha liavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
So this week, we actually get the real kind of first set of laws in the whole of the Torah, which may come as a surprise to everybody since we're in the middle of the book of Exodus. But if you know the book of Genesis, you know that really there's just a handful of things, circumcision, be fruitful and multiply. But the real laws end up coming after the Exodus story is nearly done. And right before the Jews are about to leave, and next week, by the way, they finally leave. This week we have the last 3 plagues and the Jews preparing to go. God appears and says to the Jewish people, here's basically how you're going to remember leaving Egypt. And we get the first set of laws in the Torah, which are the laws about how to do Passover. Now, for those who have done Passover before, those who have family members who do Passover, I have a question for you. And I imagine many hands will go up when I ask this question. Who here, or who has a family member here, who tends to be much more machmir, much more like punctilious, much more observant, much more anal about Passover than any other holiday throughout the year? Raise your hand if that's you, or you know someone who that's the case. Now, the truth is, by the way, that is built in, that's baked into Passover. And if you know much about Passover and the laws of Passover, you're going to realize that Passover of all the holidays is actually the holiday of perfection. We're told, by the way, that you should not have any chametz, any leavened product whatsoever in your homes. And in fact, if you eat any amount of leavened product, in Hebrew it's kol shehu, even a drop, even a crumb of leaven, you have broken Passover. Now, that is counter to almost anything else in Judaism, because Judaism allows for you to make little tiny mistakes. For example, the ancient rabbis talk about, let's say you're walking down your house and you've got a spoonful of milk, and you trip and fall, and that spoonful of milk falls into a pot of beef stew. Can you eat your beef stew? Well, the answer is, if the volume of the milk was 1/60th of the volume of the beef stew, you are technically still allowed to eat the beef stew. It's not akin to eating, let's say, a cheeseburger or something like that, though one has to imagine a really large cheeseburger with a really thin slice of cheese probably would still be okay. And by the way, that also comes into play when it comes to doubt. So the rabbis talk about the fact that if you live in a town where there are 9 kosher butchers and 1 not kosher butcher, and you happen to find a beautiful cut of meat on the ground, and meat was rare enough in the ancient days that if it looked good enough, you probably would want to bring it home and cook it. The question is, can you eat that meat with the doubt, knowing that there is that non-kosher butcher? And there's, by the way, it's just paper, like you don't know who the butcher was. Can you with integrity eat? And according to the rabbis, if the ratio is 9-1, right? Meaning there are 9 butchers out of 10, then technically those other 9 subsume the 10th, and you can eat. Now, you're chuckling a little bit, though I didn't actually think this part of the sermon was going to be funny, because it is Jewish law is about trying to hedge your bets. But what's interesting about Passover, it is not. Passover is the one holiday where you can't hedge your bets, where one little bit of chametz matters as much as anything else that you're combining it with, which is the reason that classically you're supposed to tear your house apart looking for it. You're supposed to look for it with a feather and a spoon and a candle, just trying to find a way that every little bit counts. And then you need to declare anything within your house ownerless, hoping that it's not going to actually be yours. And I have to say, by the way, that when we think about our lives, I'm not sure that we use the rabbinic paradigm so well. The paradigm of it's okay to drop a little bit of milk in the soup. The paradigm of as long as most of the butchers are Jewish and kosher, then you can eat that meat that you find. I actually think we expect of ourselves much more to live a kind of life like Passover, where if you make those little tiny mistakes somehow invalidate everything else. But actually, that shouldn't be the case. And I've been thinking about that today specifically because there was an article that was going around the kind of parent group in Montclair on Facebook, Montclair Mommies and Daddies and Parents. And it was about Marie Kondo. Now, I don't know if you know who she is, but Marie Kondo is basically the guru of organization. She talks about the idea that you're supposed to live a minimalist lifestyle, not own too many things, and that you're supposed to actually like throw out a lot of stuff if it quote unquote doesn't give you joy. And you're supposed to, by that way, have a kind of neat and tidy house and neat and tidy life. Marie Kondo is publishing a new book after having her third child. And she has said that that third child has thrown her into a little bit of a spin so that she can't even take her own advice at this point. Her life is not neat and tidy. Her life is not kol shehu. Her life is much more akin to those other examples. Because the truth is, once you have 3 kids, once you have a demanding job, once you have a sickness that is forced upon you, once you have this, that pressure in your life, it's impossible to actually hold yourself accountable for the perfection that life sometimes calls you into. You cannot live a neat and tidy life. There is no kol shehu anymore. And she realized this and redefined what neat and tidy is in her newest book, in the sense that from now on, it's not going to be about owning so little stuff. It's not going to be about not having mess. It's about carving out the right amount of time for what matters to you, which is a beautiful idea until you realize that even that is a pipe dream because none of us have enough time. I want today for us to understand that we can embrace imperfection. We can embrace imperfection even on Passover, despite what our tradition tells us. I often talk to our conversion students, and we've got a number of conversion students here today because we had a dinner earlier in the night with many of them, about the challenge of what it means to live a Jewish life. And the fact is that you can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. That sometimes, and I've used this metaphor a lot, you got to go out to dinner on Friday night, and you got to make motzi over a pizza crust, because sometimes life just gets in your way to actually buy a challah. But the goal is not to expect perfection, but to understand that if you come close enough, that is good enough. And if it's good enough for Judaism, it's good enough for every other aspect of your life as well. Every one of us is going to fall short on cleaning our house well enough, of that project at work. We're going to fall short on that friendship that we just can't maintain anymore. And we need to understand that we can't beat ourselves up over our perfections, but rather our perfections are okay. As long as we're living in a way, a kind of net positive life, then those perfections disappear. I want to point out that your pot of meat that you drop that cream into is not improperly kosher. It is kosher. It is as kosher as if you never dropped that in, because you didn't drop that much in. And that piece of meat isn't potentially kosher that you find on the ground. If there's enough butchers around, that meat is kosher, which means that your life, because I'm sure, by the way, you're not falling as short as you think you are. Your life is good. You are hitting perfection even within your imperfection, because getting close enough is enough. You are enough. And so I want to challenge all of us to keep that in mind. The world is going to tell you that you have to be perfect, that you cannot have even that drop of bread. But I hope that you understand that it's in the messiness, it's in the imperfection, it's in the unknown that true beauty lies, true meaning dwells, and your life matters. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to turn to page 282 as we rise for Elena.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishpechot adama, shelo samchalkeinu kahem, vegoraleinu kechol hamonam, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We pause at the conclusion of our service to think of those who we've loved and who we've lost. This Shabbat, as we turn to page 294, we remember the following individuals, and I'll invite you to rise as I call their name. Jason Adelman, Robert J. Axelrod, Elsie Berlin, Linda Bernstein, Blanche Bianco, Jane Breslow, Samuel Cohen, Nathan Daniels, Norma Festa, Edna Fine, Gussie Fishbane, Greta Friedman, Raymond Gallant, Floyd Gold, Helen Green, Wolf Hecker, James Hertzman, Alexander Hockman, Frida Huberman, Gloria Isaacs Berlin, Jenny Jacobs, Gussie Jasic, Hyman Cantor, Jacob Kaplan, Judy Kopp, Pauline Korn, Carol Lane, Ruth London, Stephen Markstein, Rose Nathanson, Joseph Nelson, Louis Passner, Edith Petschaft, Israel Rubin, Sandra Schweghofer, Bernard Schwartz, Sam Siegel, Gordon Spencer, William Stein, Florence Webster, Sarah Weinberg, and those in their Shiva and Shloshim periods of mourning: Harris William Gurwitz, father of Amy Gurwitz; Larry Gould, cousin of Alexandra McGuire; Walter Epstein, father of Allison Kuselik; and Judith Shankman Kosak, mother of Deborah Gussoff; and Nathan Latifi. In addition, if you're observing a yard site that wasn't on this list, or you're within your 1 year period of mourning, I'll invite you to rise and share the name of your loved one, Max Renteria. Again, page 294, we rise together. And we also, our hearts go out to all the victims of mass shootings. Today there was one in Israel in a synagogue. 7 people perished. And we add that name to all those names out west in California and the many others since the beginning of this year and well before, who perished in ways that should not be. So we join together. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, b'yamad yivrach yiroteh v'yamlech malchuteh, v'chayachon uv'yom mechon uv'chayed l'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala uv'yisman karib v'yimru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach li'olam omei omaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitnamam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Damiram b'yamav v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom v'mamam. Huya asa shalom. Aleinu ve'al Yisrael v'yimru amen. Please be seated. So a few announcements before we close with the words of Oseh Shalom. And I promised myself I would never let our announcements be longer than my sermon. Today kind of runs a risk. There's a lot of stuff going on. So tomorrow is our Shabbaton. We begin 9:30 with yoga, 10:30 is registration with a light breakfast, and then 11 o'clock are services in here. I'll repeat that, 11 is services in here if you're used to coming at 10 o'clock or an hour later. And then we've got a whole host of classes in the afternoon throughout the whole course of the day, finishing with Havdalah. So there's still room if you want to come. We would love to see you for any or all of the day. It's rare to have 2 Shabbats where we've got really cool things going on. We actually have 3 Shabbats in a row. So the Shabbaton is this week. Cantor, do you want to talk about the next 2 Shabbats coming up?
I would love to. So Friday night, a week from tonight, is our Artist in Residence, our annual yearly celebration, because it is Shabbat B'Shalach, the Shabbat in which we cross through the Sea of Reeds and we celebrate in song. So Rachel Musleach, who dates her family back to 7 generations in Calcutta in India and knows deeply the minhag or the custom of this general area, Iraq and India, she is going to come and be with us and teach us all kinds of cool things about what it means to be Jewish and Indian. And she's going to bring in a lot of a beautiful Torah, and there's a lot to get from the whole weekend. Saturday morning, another wonderful experience with her in which she will chant the Shirah, the passing through the sea, in this really cool, beautiful minhag that none of us know about. Thanks always to Marge and Paul Grayson, who made this possible yet again in honor of their mom of blessed memory, Eleanor Neifeld. The following weekend on Friday night is our annual inclusion Shabbat, Shabbat Shalem, a Shabbat in which we highlight, although we're always, we hope, inclusive, we can always do better. This Shabbat we will be bringing artists, students from the Way Center, a center that brings arts to developmentally disabled adults, and we will be hosting them, and throughout the walls in our synagogue, thanks to Michelle W. Malkin, we're going to have their artwork hanging. So come and be with us, and some of the artists will be here. We'll get to hear from them, and of course, pray together.
So 2 events coming up in addition to that. The first is that on Monday night, we're actually having the author of this book, Awakenings, come to the congregation. His name is Rabbi Josh Stanton. He's a really kind of brilliant thought leader, young rabbi out in kind of I would say the Beth Israel Medical Center area of New York City. I don't know what you would call that. 14th Street on the east side. What? Gramercy Parkish, yeah, and that's where his congregation is. This is a really cool book because almost every other book on the market right now about modern Jewry is all about the doom and gloom and the death of American Jewry. This book basically says they're all wrong. There's a lot to be hopeful for and excited about, and actually you don't realize it, but American Jewry is thriving in many ways that we should be happy and proud about. And so it's really going to be an uplifting talk and a really wonderful book. And then a week later, on the 9th, we're really blessed to have Josh Godheimer coming to the congregation, who is the representative up kind of in the Bergen County area. And one of the kind of themes of my High Holiday sermons, and I was looking for the perfect speaker, and he really is about listening, the right listening to the left and the left listening to the right. And he has this caucus in the House, which is called the Problem Solver Caucus, which is 30 Republicans and 30 Democrats. When they decide to go bipartisan on something, they actually fully go bipartisan, and all 60 vote in a block to make sure that that legislation gets bipartisan support. And he started this and really knows what it's like to hash it out in the back room and figure out what does it mean to disagree with people in a really thoughtful, good way, and to come up with compromise. And so he's going to come and talk about that and how we can learn to do that in our own lives. We have one more date that we are adding to the calendar in March for Torah scribing, because the 26th is full of February. It's going to be in early March. Just look out for your email and you can sign up for that. So with that, look at your email for many other opportunities throughout the course of the next month.
Many.
Plus, and we will end with Oseh Shalom.
Thank you, band, for being beautiful and wonderful, and for really lifting our hearts tonight. We join together.
עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Keep singing with us.
עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומה, במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. Just once more on יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ועל כל יושבי שבר. יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Meet
shalom.
somebody that you've never met before tonight. Say Shabbat shalom to them. Thank you, band.
Learn
See you
a
in the
new
morning.
name. Shabbat Shalom.